Hey y'all, it's Paris and I'm back with another video. So today I just wanted to share with you guys a quick word. Don't step out of God's will. Don't step out of God's will, okay? No matter what your situation looks like, don't do something that God did not tell you to do, okay? So with that being said, I'll just share something about me. So God has placed me in a situation to where I have to depend on Him for everything, okay? And so, especially with this job that God led me to. So with that being said, I'm not making as much money as I made before at my old job. And so the thing is, I knew that when I applied to this job, but God was leading me to this job. So with that being said, I was obedient and I was like, God, even though this doesn't make sense, but I'm going to do it anyway. Right? So I did it anyway. I applied to the job and I got it. Well, with that being said, I feel like I have been trusting God because I feel like I've been barely getting by. And even though it's a blessing that I am getting by, even though it's a blessing that, I have a place to stay, I have a roof over my head, I have food to eat, but it always feels good to have a little bit more money in the bank, right? So with that being said, it's been very tempting to apply for another job. It's been very tempting to go out and do something else. But God has been telling me to stay where I am, stay where I am. And so with that being said, I've shared a video on my channel before where God led me to a part-time job. And it didn't make sense then, but He told me to go there. And so I shared with you guys that around the time when COVID happened, when COVID first started happening, people were getting furloughed, people were getting their hours reduced, people were getting laid off. And so with that being said, my hours were reduced, okay? So I was working part-time, but my supervisor was giving me full-time hours. And so with that being said, my hours got reduced around COVID. So I'm freaking out and I'm like, God, I got an apartment, I got to pay for my car note. I got car insurance, I got to eat. How am I going to survive? And so the first thought that I had was to start looking for another part-time job. Cause I was like, either I'm going to have to get another part-time job or get a full-time job. And so God never told me to do that. I was taking matters into my own hands, okay? I was in the will of God when He told me to get that part-time job. But I started to think things over because I was like, God, you see what's going on? COVID just happened. They're laying people off. They're reducing people's hours. You see the bills that I have. How am I going to survive? And I started to panic and I started to take things in my own hands and I started to apply for jobs. When I tell you, God allowed people to call me. He allowed people to schedule interviews with me. However, He wanted to see, was I going to be obedient? Okay, because keep in mind, He had told me to stay exactly where I was and it didn't make sense. Some of you guys are in a situation that God is telling you to stay and it doesn't make sense. Well, let me tell you this. I got an interview for another job, and I had a feeling that if I were to go to this interview, that I was going to get the job. Okay, so I got ready. I got ready for this interview, and I was like, you know what? While I'm waiting for this interview, let me go ahead and get my car washed. So I go and I get my car washed, and I have 15 minutes to get to this interview, and so I leave the car wash and I'm headed to the interview. Why does a car just come out of nowhere and hits the side of my car? Literally, they had no reason to hit my car. She didn't even know the reason why she hit my car. Literally, it just came out of nowhere. And the thing is, my car, it had it ended up having a dent, and then she hit my car so hard, all three of my hubcaps, they all came off. Okay, all the rims came off. And so the thing is, I really didn't have a lot of damage, but it was just enough impact to get my attention. And so with that being said, immediately after it happened, I knew without a doubt in my mind, I knew that was God telling me, don't go to that interview. Now, I know some of you guys are not going to agree, and that's okay, but I know how God speaks to me, okay? I know how God speaks to me. So with that being said, God allowed me to get into a minor accident because I didn't get hurt, but it was just my car. My car was slightly messed up. And the thing is, God gave me enough grace to where it was her fault. So my car ended up getting fixed through her insurance, but he had to do something to stop me because I was about to get that job and God wanted me to stay where I was. Now, God showed me grace. Now, for some people, you may not be shown grace. And so with that being said, that's why I'm making this video to warn you. Do not step out of God's will just because you don't have something, because I didn't have enough money at that time, even though I was still making it, but I wanted more money in my pocket. And so I took matters into my own hands and I started applying to jobs and I got an interview and I was headed that way and I got into an accident. And I remember when my mom came to see me, she asked me, she said, well, Paris, you know, you can still drive your car. She was like, you still got time to get to your interview. I said, Mom, I'm not going to that interview. I said, God stopped me for a reason. And she didn't understand it. And I know a lot of people are not going to understand this, but to the people who are really in tune with God, you're going to understand this. God stopped me for a reason. He did not want me to go. And so with that being said, when I turned back around and I was obedient, I got my car fixed and I stayed at that part-time job where my hours were reduced. I ended up getting a raise. It was like a few weeks later, but I ended up getting a raise. And then I think I also got promoted to be like a trainer or something at the job. But anyways, this all happened after I was obedient, okay? I was almost disobedient because I was headed to another interview because I was trying to take matters into my own hands. And so what I'm trying to tell you guys is, you may not have enough money. You may not have a husband. You may not have a wife. You may not have something. Maybe you have some type of limitation and you're about to take things into your own hands. Do not do that, okay? Because you may have to pay for the consequences. So with that being said, I hope that this has warned you guys. I hope that this has encouraged you guys to stay where God is telling you to stay, because if you are obedient, and I've already made a video about this, go check it out. It's called, God Will Bless You If You Are Obedient. If you stay where you are, and I know it's hard, and I know it's looking scarce, you don't have a lot, but if you stay and be obedient, God will bless you, okay? So I'll talk to you guys later, and I hope that I have encouraged you guys. Bye, y'all.